Good morning, everyone. Happy Hump Day. I hope you're having a great week so far. Now, before I introduce my guests, so the new thing I'm starting at the beginning of the shows is I want to personally invite everyone to join the 365 First Challenge group. So you're currently on the page, and I want you to invite you all to the group where there are some really great things taking place and some amazing next level first coaches there to support you. So head on over and join the group. All right. So today on the First Time Storytelling broadcast, my guest is Tisha Michelle. Tisha is a spiritual guide and teacher, hypnotist, podcast host. And are you is HAG TV? Is that your host on HAG TV?
Well, yes and no. So my podcast is Seeing with Your Soul, but I'm launching HAG TV, which is the TV network, on the 28th of this month, actually.
Oh,
So,
okay. Great.
yeah.
All right. She is on a mission to connect and guide people to their authentic self. Tisha is here to share the story of her first experience with her spirituality and remembering her purpose through the loss of her best friend, Gloria. All right. Welcome to the broadcast, Tisha.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, hopefully you're not going to get me into tears with, with your story because I'm feeling it's going to be a moving story. So let's start out with, well, tell us more about Gloria and your relationship with her and what happened.
Yeah. So in order to even get up to that part, I have to go back to when I was 15, and I'm 40 now, but I promise I'll skip over a lot of stuff. But so I met Gloria, and I would say I was 15 years old, and I was in Richmond, Virginia, living there, and her parents moved to Virginia. So just kind of hanging out in the neighborhood where everybody just hung out. It was like this whole group of people, and they were all from New York, and I'm originally from New York. So we instantly just connected, and she was 2 years older than me. Yeah. And we just became really good friends. But in the process of it, I started messing around with her brother, and I had a baby.
Oh, okay.
And then I had another baby. And then we got married. And then I had another baby. So I have 4 kids, but 3 of them are with her brother. So through the whole time we're best friends. We're best friends, but we become more than best friends, right? And that's my
I mean, your
sister,
family. Yeah.
my family. And it's one of those relationships where you have that one person, and some people told me that they don't have that, that person where they can just completely be themselves 100%. And I am that person. I've always been that person for so many people, and she was my one person. That was everything, that I could just go to, because I've always been like a private person. Didn't really like to be vulnerable just because of how I've been taught and conditioned, but I could always be like myself with her. I can let down this persona that I'm perfect and I have everything going on and I have the answers for everyone, and I could go to her and be like, oh my God, this is what's going on.
Yeah. I'm struggling. I'm having a hard time and I need help.
Absolutely. So that's my girl. That's my best friend. That's everything. So we fast forward to December 29th of 2017. Gloria went to sleep and she never woke up. So it was just a whole crazy time in my life, because about 2 weeks prior to that, we had talked on the phone every single day. So she lives in New York and I was still in Virginia at the time. I'm in Arizona now, but I was in Virginia. But because we are family and we're so close, we don't have to talk to each other every day. We're not in that needy type of relationship. It's just that whenever we talk, we get caught up. She tells me everything that's going on that I miss, and I let her know. So it was just interesting when I look back at it. It was like the 2 weeks prior, we talked every single day, like every single day.
Did she say she wasn't feeling well? Like, was there anything going on?
No, nope. Nope.
Oh, wow.
We were just talking. We're talking business adventures. It was something that she wanted to get into, and she was like, "Oh, I gotta call Tisha about it because I know she knows people in the club scenes in Virginia and all of that." So we were just talking, just like every single day about just everything. And then she has 3 kids, and Two of them were twins. So I remember I said something to her about like I can't sleep, and she was like, "Girl," she's like, "You know I'll be up with these babies." She's like, "You better call me. We could be just talking at 2, 3 in the morning." So the night before that she passed, I went to go call her because I was up, and then I stopped, and I was like, you know what? This will be the one time I would call her, and them babies asleep, and I'm gonna wake her. I'm gonna wake them
Gonna
up.
wake them up.
So I didn't call.
Mm.
I didn't call. So like I said, December 29th. 2017, my oldest daughter, who is super close with her aunts, actually went up to New York. She actually I went up to New York. So I got a phone call from her, and she was crying. She was like I don't know, she was just out of it, and then she was like, no, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. She sent me a text message. She sent me a text message, and she said, please pray for Titi. Now Titi is Gloria, is what they call her. And that's another thing about her. So she had to be different, and it was a bunch of aunts, and she was like, all my nieces and nephews, you have to call me Titi to make, to stand out from the rest. So she sent me this text message. I was on the phone with someone, and I read it, and it says, please pray for Titi. So I just started laughing because I'm waiting for something to follow behind, because she crazy.
Oh, you think she's doing something silly? Yeah,
silly.
Yeah.
Yep. So I just laughed out loud, and I'm like waiting for the message,
Punchline
like,
or whatever.
yeah. But the next message I got that said she's unresponsive, and like my heart dropped. And I'm on the phone, and I was actually on the phone with my youngest son's dad, and I was like reading it out loud to him, and I was like, Titi is Gloria, like saying to him, I was like, Titi's Gloria. He's like, what? And I was like, I'll call you back. So I called my daughter, and she doesn't know, because she had just got picked up from the airport to get there. So she just got picked up from the airport. So we're on the phone, and she's like, I don't know. She's like, Uncle Rocky, which is her uncle and their brother, said she's unresponsive. And I'm like, okay, so do CPR. And I teach CPR, and I'm certified. So in my mind, I'm like, unresponsive. I'm like, just do CPR. And what are you talking about? That doesn't even make any sense, because I'm still not, it's not really clicking.
Yeah, and you're not going to like the extreme things are bad. You're still, that's really good. You're still like, okay, just take the right actions. Everything's gonna be fine.
Absolutely. I'm like, literally like nonchalant, like do CPR, and like, let's get her responsive, because okay, what are y'all doing? So she's like, I don't know what's going on. We're heading there now. Uncle Rocky and them aren't answering the phone. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, all right. I'm like, just calm down. I was like, let me know as soon as you know something. So I'm just sitting there, and I'm like so confused. I don't know if I should cry. I don't know if I should just be like, oh, it's okay, or what. It was just these mixed, emotions. So it pops in my head to call her brother, which was my ex-husband. But I was like, I don't want to call him and get him worried, because he's in Virginia also. I'm like, I don't want to call him and worry him and give him like false information, because I don't really know too much, and then have somebody upset. But something was like, just call him. So I call him. I'm like, hey. He's like, hey. And I'm like trying to feel this conversation out. And I'm like, so did you hear? And he was like, it was quiet. It was this eerie silence. And he just starts crying. And he was like, Gloria's gone. I'm like, what? I got chills just right now, just thinking. He's like, Gloria's gone.
So did I.
I'm like, he's like, Gloria's gone. And I was like, this was my response. I said, are you sure? Because it didn't make any sense to me. I just talked to her. Nothing made any sense. Like nothing. And I still don't even know a story. So I said, are you sure? And he was like, yeah, I'm sure. He's like, I just talked to, Rocky, which is their brother. And I'm like, what? So my other kids are there, and they could hear what was going on. So I got off the phone with him, and I just start crying. And I go in there, and my son, which that's his godmother, he could hear everything that I was saying on there, and he was just quiet. And then he just like punched the wall. And then he just like slides down on the floor, and he's just crying. And I'm trying not to cry myself now. So he's crying, I'm crying, I can't do anything. And I'm the person that consoles everyone, right? I'm the one who gives everybody everything. And I had nothing. For my kids. I couldn't help them. There was nothing that I could say. There was nothing that I could do, but just be like, what the heck? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I said, I wasn't gonna cry. So I'm just baffled. I don't even know what to do at this point still, right? So I call my mom. And, you know, I tell my mom what happened, and she's like, do you need me to come over there? And I was like, no, I'm just going to figure out what we're going to do. So her brother, my ex-husband, I get back on the phone with him, and he's like, you know, let's go. So we, of course, naturally, we hopped in the car and we went to New York. You know, we have to be with the family. We have to be with everyone. So yeah, so, you know, she went to sleep, and she, you know, she didn't wake up. So there was so many different things that was just going through my mind of like, I started being afraid to go to sleep, because I'm like, you know, she's 39, you know, you go to sleep, you don't wake up. So it was just so much like different emotions and stuff. And took a while to really find out. So she had heart problems, and she had heart problems from when she was a child, which stemmed from strep throat. So she was on a lot of, you know, medicines and stuff. And she already had her first child. And then she had the twins, in which they, when the twins were born, I want to say they were like 1 pound. So they came early. So there was complications like there. But she wanted nothing more than to be a mother. And even though that it was a risk for her life, she's like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm having these kids. And she had the kids. She nursed them. You know, they were in the hospital for months. You know, she nursed them up, and I mean, they're amazing. You know, like now. But basically, her heart gave out on her. You know, her heart gave out on her. But
That sounds like but sound like she had a very big heart.
Absolutely. And see, a part of that issue is, as a mother, we put everybody before us. Like, we put everybody before us, our kids, you know, our family, our friends, our jobs, everything comes before our health. So, and when she had the babies, everybody was always just concerned about the babies because of what happened. So we have this thing, I guess, subconsciously, where we just feel like, you're good. We just got to make sure these babies are okay. So even to me, when I would talk to her, I'd be like, how are the babies? How are they doing? What's going on with them? And that's what everybody did. But we never asked her how she was doing. We never said, how are you feeling? We never said, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. We never said anything like, when was the last time you went to the doctor? Have you been taking your medicine? Because I guess it's one of those things you just automatically assume that a person got it, because we put so much pressure and so much weight on there. But we never asked her. We never asked her, how are you doing? When was the last time you took your medicine? Have you been to the doctor lately? It was always the babies. And that's how it just is. Just like, it's like an epidemic, especially in New York, where no one really checks on the mom. And of course, we went through that whole blaming, like, ourselves, you know, and stuff, because it was like confusing. Like, why didn't we just ask her? Like, what was it? So no, she wasn't sick. You know, she was feeling, you know, fine. Her heart gave out on her, you know, but she did what she came here to do. You know,
So
she had them babies.
she had the babies. So how did that then connect you to your spirituality and shiftings for you?
So it was, I want to say, don't really quote me on, it was a couple of days after the funeral. So I'm in Virginia, and before she had passed away, I was going through my own personal thing, and nobody knew about it. And I remember it so clearly. I was in Walmart, and I was talking to her on the phone, and I was explaining to her what was going on with me. And I was like, I'm so confused. I don't really know what to do. And she asked me a question, and it involved people, like, relationship wise. But so I'd asked her this, you know, I was telling her about it, and she asked me a question. And when she asked me this question, it really made me think, and it was something that I never had thought about, but it helped me to get my answer to part one of the answer of the question. So then we fast forward, it's a couple of days after the funeral, and I was going to get something out of the top of the closet. I think I was getting like tape or something, and there were the extra programs from the service. So when I reached up there and I touched it, and I was like, because I had one that was already up and then the extra one, and then I took it and I just started reading it, and I just started crying. And I was on the floor. I was home alone. I wasn't talking to anybody on my cell phone. I didn't want to hear anything that anybody had to say, because people were saying things like, oh, God just wants another angel. So I was like, okay, bet. So this God you're talking about is selfish. I got it. Okay. So I just didn't want to hear anything people had to say. So I'm home alone. I'm crying. I'm talking about that ugly cry, like you can't breathe. And I remember saying, what am I supposed to do now? It was my selfish moment. I said, what am I supposed to do now? Like, you was helping me with this, and I don't know what to do. And then I just kept saying, there has to be more to life than this. And I'm crying. I'm like, there has to be more to life than this, because if this is all there is to life, I don't want to be here. And I wasn't suicidal, but I was like, I didn't see my purpose. What was the point? Because if you can just go to sleep at 39 and you have, husband, and you have these little 3, kids under the age of 5, and you go to sleep and you don't wake up, I don't want a part of this. I don't want to be here. So I kept asking that question. There has to be more. There has to be more. So after that, a couple of days later, her sister called, her older sister, and her older sister and her are super close. That's her baby. Her older sister be like, that's my child, And she called me and we were just talking, and she told me that she talked to this psychic lady. And she was already all into like psychics and stuff like that. Spells and candles and stuff and energy. And I never wanted any part of that, even though I grew up in the family with that, with my grandmother and my grandfather. I wanted no parts of any of that. But she told me about this lady that she talked to and all the things that the lady was saying. It was just blowing my mind, because it's like, how could she know that? So I was like, I need to talk to her. I need to talk to her. And so she gave me the number and I scheduled this appointment with someone. Now, mind you, this is something that I'm afraid of. I don't believe in. I don't want nothing to do with it. But I wanted to hear something so bad from my best friend that I was willing to go into the unknown. So the lady said that she could get me in, and I didn't even care how much it cost. Honestly, didn't even have the money for it. But I was like, I'll figure it out in 2 days. And so I talked to the lady, and it was on FaceTime. And the very first thing that she says to me is, your dad is here. And I just start crying. And mind you, the big significance in that is that I don't cry, and I don't cry in front of people. So the fact that I was so vulnerable was crazy. So she starts telling me all this stuff about my dad. And my dad was only in my life for 2 years. I don't talk about him. My family on my mom's side don't even know how he died. They don't know anything. Nobody knows anything. So she couldn't Google this. She couldn't go to Facebook because I don't talk about it. So I was like, how does she know this stuff? And then she goes through and she tells me stuff. Then my grandmother comes through, and then my best friend comes through. And mind you, she's not saying like, oh, your best friend, or, the name or anything. She's talking about the energy and stuff. I'm like just crying and listening, but it came through in order. My dad passed away first, then my grandmother, and then my best friend. So she's going through and she's telling me all these things, and she's saying all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, so she totally just read my book, the book that I hadn't written yet. And it was all these things that I was just saying. And I was such a believer. And then the kicker was, she goes, oh, and I can't say it because I don't want to put people's business out there. But when I was in the closet and I was crying and I was like, what am I to do now? My best friend gave me the message of what to do. And it wasn't like I said, hey, ask her about this. She just said it. And I was like, and I just took back, like, wait, what? Like, and she told me like exactly. And it was just so crazy. So that was like my first introduction into spirituality, answering the question that I asked, that there has to be more to life than this. Because there's no way that this person that I don't know, she's not reading my body language, she's not Googling me, because the things that she said, nobody knew. Yeah. Nobody knew. Nobody knew. I'm talking about deep personal things that were going on internally, like inside of me, that I had suppressed, that I had tried to block out. And these are the things that were stopping me from stepping into being like the best version of who I am.
Yeah. So after you got done with the call with her, like you had to sit with a lot of information. So how did you go ahead and proceed to process all of that information?
So when I got off of that call with her, I was so blown away. I was like telling everybody like about it. But when I sat with it, I said, I'm good. I was like, I'm good. I don't need another one of these for like probably like another 6 months. Everything is great. But once it really sat in, more questions and things started just coming up. And then I was like texting her. And then she was like, you could do the same thing, right? And I was like, wait, what? She's like, you have the gift. You have it. And I was like, no. And then after that, literally everything looked different. I started seeing like numbers all the time. I started getting messages. I started trusting myself because I was able to hear my intuition. I'm talking about even to selling my business, where it was just like I had to really get clear on that and listen to. So for me, and I'll just be honest, I hear things, I see things, I feel things, and I just know. And I just know. So it just started like developing. And then I like to call it that I was skateboarding through life. You know, I was like, I got the blueprint. I don't know about you guys, but I got the blueprint, right? But it was because I was awakened to understanding that there is more to life than just existing. Because up until that point, I was just existing. It was just working, taking care of the kids, going through my fair share of my struggles, you know, my ups, my downs, my hurts, and, you know, and all of that. And I was like, thought that that was all to life. And then from her passing, you know, tell people all the time, she gave me the greatest gift ever, which is remembering my purpose. Because our purpose isn't lost. We don't need to find it. We just need to remember it. And it was underneath so many different things. And this is why I say, you know, it was so many different things that needed to come up and come out. And, you know, and I know that my number one purpose in life is to connect people to their truth, but I had to get connected to mine first. So, you know, that was really how that came about.
Well, I mean, what's great about your story is that throughout you're searching, but you're still the skeptic. So there's that portion of you that is seeking more, but then there's that old version of you that is skeptic of everything. And, you know, for you, life runs a certain way and that's the way it is. But there's this other part of you because of your loss. Okay, there's got to be more. So the conflict, but you were open to just venturing. It was such a, and sometimes in life you need that. You need those drastic event and moments that shatter you, your soul, your heart, your spirit, and everything, and makes you, you know, for me, I dropped to my knees and I was definitely crying. And I know the ugly cry of just not understanding, like things just not making sense. And yes, and asking there has got to be more. So what has, so this shift happened, and now as you speak to you hear things, you feel things, you're more connected with life and with the flow of energy, and things are happening. Now, is that solely for like you and what you seek, or is it like when you're in contact with other people? And how did you, sorry, how did you step more into that? Because it has, you know, at first it had to be kind of weird and odd, but like, how did you grow your acceptance of it and then learn to leverage it?
Well, the lady that did my her name is Jessica. The lady that I did the reading with, she ended up being my teacher. She ended up being my first teacher, and she said because I was telling her the numbers were always like around. She's like, this is how your angels are talking to you through these numbers. And I was like, oh, started making sense because I started looking up the angel numbers, and the numbers that I would see all the time, I would look them up, and it was like exactly like what was going on, and I knew what it meant. So that was like that first way. And then she told me to get this oracle card deck. She was like, they want you, talking about my spirit guides, want you to get this deck and start playing around with it. So I just started playing around with the cards, and she was like, but I want you to throw the book away. I was like, wait, what? She's like, throw the book away. She's like, anybody can pull a card and read from a book. She said, that's not what you're doing. You're tapping into your intuition. She's like, throw the book away. So I threw the book away. And she said, so I want you to do this with everyone, practice with them. She's like, so you shuffle, do blah, 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 you know, pull the card. She's like, and then I just want you to speak. Trust it. Just speak. And that's what happened. And I started just doing that with people, and they were like, holy crap, like, wait, what's going on? So then after that, it just started being, she said, now get rid of the cards. She's like, you know, 50 decks later, because I'm obsessed with the cards. I just love them. She was like, you don't need the cards. I was like, I know, I just love them. She said, so now I want you to start doing readings for people with no card. Just trust yourself. She kept saying, just trust yourself. That's it. Just trust yourself. So then I just started, I would get things and I would say like a word or a couple of words. And then it just started just developing into just like a flow. And here we are now. I mean, I know I've done over like 100 sessions with people. And I only know that because of my booking site, you know, shows that. So I don't even know the ones before that. But so yeah, it's not just for myself. It's always on. Like I'll just be sitting, you know, here, and then all of a sudden it'll pop in my head and it'll say, text, I'm just gonna say my friend's name, you know, text Wendy and say such and such. So I'll just be like, okay. And I'll just grab my phone and I'll just text her what came to me. And then she'll be like, girl, stop. Oh my gosh. Like I was just going through da 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 or whatever the case is. So, you know, it just started, the more I started to trust myself, the more like deeper in the things, and I've just been able to help people. So it's never for fun. People that come to get a session with me are always guided to me some way. They're in a dark space in their life, or they're just to the point where they're like, I've tried everything and you know what the heck, let's do it. that type of thing. So it's never like, oh, let's just do this like for fun. It's always purposeful, just like how it was for me, just like how it was for me. That's how people are like guided to me.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's very interesting, and that makes a
Very.
lot of sense. I'm just curious, like in general terms, because I know you can't speak specific and keeping privacy, but in general terms, like what are the things that people are struggling with the most? Like, are there trends of what they're coming to you for?
Yeah. A number one thing is identity. They don't know who they are. A big thing is identity. There's a lot of trauma lately. The big theme has been rape and molestation. That's been a
That's
really
deep.
big,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's tough
And
things to listen
it's
to
very
and
hope.
work through.
Yeah. And the inner child. The overall thing is people's inner child. So there, a lot of stuff is just stemmed from like their childhood, and it doesn't mean you had to be like any type of abused or anything. It could just be from not getting invited to a birthday party and having that trauma of feeling left out that then turned into who you are now, and why you don't get close with people. You keep people at a distance because you don't want to be hurt. You don't want to feel like how you were when you were 8 years old. So yeah, it is very heavy. It's a lot, which is but because I've been doing the work, I'm able to hold space for other people. So I'm always doing work. Like I'm not to the point like, oh, I'm like 100% authentic and stuff. Like, oh no, it's a
No,
constant learning more about yourself and healing and releasing and creating space. But because I have been, that's why I'm able to help, others and like hold space for them, because I've cleared space, in my energetic field to be able to help other people. And plus, I tell people all the time, I said, I heal by helping other people heal. I don't heal a person, you heal yourself. I just help guide you.
Yeah, I love how you explain that, and how you did put the caveat, like I'm still a work in progress, where we're constantly still a work in progress, but it is an amazing privilege to be able to be in a place where you can hold that space for somebody else and invite them to walk into it and then help them get over something. And I know in my life, I definitely had to go back to the younger Anne and tell her what was okay, look out after her, and like heal, like whatever you didn't hear, here you are. I'm telling it to you now,
Absolutely.
And everyone, and you're right, because everyone, you have certain things that did happen, and you need to go back and and work through that. And that's the beauty, that we have the power to do that as adults, that we can reconnect and do those things. Now, how do you take care of yourself though? So, because one, because still a work in progress, but how are you now, how are you now prioritizing your business, your family, your well-being? How are you balancing that?
So for one, I got rid of the word balance, and I just said it needs to be in harmony, because when I put the word balance, it just did something. There's like this stigma to balance. I'm like, are we ever really going to be able to get it like this? So I spent a lot.
I like that, by the way. I'm gonna adopt that.
Yeah, but it didn't say harmony, because when it's harmony, like how it could be 70, 10, 10, like whoever, but you just say harmony, it kind of changes it in your subconscious mind. So I spend a lot of time outside. Like I have to be out in nature. And I love that I'm in Arizona because it's so sunny, even though it'd be hot, but it's just like that sun. So I'll have to do that, and I'll go, do a lot of walks. I just kind of changed like my schedule. So I only see clients on Tuesdays and Saturdays, because it was just too much, right? And especially while, like I said, I'm still going through my stuff and still building, like the network, and I have the podcast and all of that stuff, and I'm a mother. So I was like, you know what, let me just step back and just know that Tuesdays and Saturdays is good. It's fine. I'm still going to be able to, to help people. So that was what I did in that sense. But like I said, I'm always outside every chance that I get. I have a spiritual practice in the morning, so that helps to set the tone, like of the day. And I always make sure that I feel what I need to feel for myself. So that's a part of my self-care, is I need to feel it. If I'm angry today, or I'm sad, or I'm confused, or whatever, I feel it. I need to feel it so I can take like the power away. So that way, it's not just sitting inside of me and causing me to be, get sick or anything of that sort.
and I want to pause here because that's a very, very powerful statement. And it's something that I also learned, because if you feel certain things and you try and push them away, they're not going to go away. And you're right. And they're going to stack, and they're going to have a bigger impact. And well, sometimes I'll end up feeling very frustrated. And it's like, okay, I am frustrated, and I will sit through that frustration, and I will fully feel it. I'll write about it. Or if I'm angry, like same thing, I will do that, because then I let it go. I feel it, I let it go. But if I learned that if you avoid feeling, it doesn't go away, and you can't just fool yourself into shift into something else. So absolutely, I'm right there with you. That's a powerful statement, and everyone needs to don't deny your emotions. Yes, you can, you need to master your thoughts, but there's reality. Reality is always in play, and reality is sometimes you're going to feel a certain way. Feel it.
Feel it. Well, they say you can't heal what you don't feel, right? I had people will say like, or why not to me, well, just to say in general, like, well, why is she so angry, or why is he so angry? And I'm like, anger is great, because with anger comes change, and with change comes growth. I'm like, why is it a bad thing? You're angry about something. Okay, so we're angry. What are you angry about? Okay, so how can we change this? And then as you implement whatever is needed to change it, guess what? You just grew.
Yeah.
You just grew.
And because you're feeling it, because you're understanding it, and you're not directing it at anybody else, because that's the other thing, right? So you can be angry and feel it and deal with it, or you can avoid it, deny it, and then blow at somebody else, and then, make your business their business and pass on that emotion to somebody else.
Absolutely. You
Yes.
project it on someone. So it's a healthy way. So that's what it is. It's getting to that healthy way of expressing those emotions and stuff. Like people who like to break things. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Clients, I'm like, that's cool. You can break things, but you know what? There are places that you can pay, and you can go there and you can smash things, and then you don't have to worry about it being your stuff. That's a healthy way to express it. So it's just finding like those alternatives to, expressing, because you got to get it out. Because if you don't get it out, it's going to come out somehow, and it's going to be in some type of illness or something. So why not just deal with it?
Even to this day, there's time where I'll just scream, and thankfully I'm by myself in the house, but I'll just scream because, again, for me, it's frustration. It's the negative feeling that I experience the most is frustration. It's I'll just scream. And, after letting out top of my lungs, 4 or 5 good screams, then I can breathe and I can be okay. So, and it's healing. It's absolutely heal. I love that. Now, so it's been 3 years then since you've been in. Wow. So it's you've been moving along pretty quickly. You've been making some big strides forward.
Yeah, I moved to Arizona. August 5th will be a year, and that is a whole other podcast itself, because I just listened to the calling. We didn't even have any money. We didn't even know where we were going to live, and I literally stepped out on faith. And just, having to step out on faith. You always hear people say, just have faith, just have faith. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. And then I experienced it. I'm like, oh, I'm stepping out on something that I can't see, that I can't touch. I don't know. I'm just trusting, with like nothing logical and nothing, practical to back it up. And we left August 2nd of last year. We drove 30 hours. I had $196.50. That's not even enough for gas. Didn't know where we were going to stay, but just knew that I was coming to Arizona because that's what was said to me. That's what I was getting. And I was just told to just trust. And when I say getting, not from people, humans, this is what the voice that I'm hearing, the feeling that I'm hearing, all the signs, and trusting my intuition. And along the way, there were some obstacles and some bumps and stuff, but it was like the red carpet was just rolled out. Money was just appearing. People were sending me cash out for a session. I hadn't even talked to them. And they were like, oh, I'm like pulling over and doing sessions on the phone. I'm like, what? Like it literally just unfolded. And where I'm at now, the condos that we're staying, I've been here since we got here. The only difference is we moved upstairs to a bigger condo. And I didn't even know where we were going to stay when we left. And that all came from losing, I need to stop saying losing her, because her energy is still with me, but from her physically leaving, the earth. But connecting to my spirituality, understanding that there's more to life than just having to know all the answers, where you really can just trust in the universe and believe, and things just open up. And I know it sometimes to people, it may seem like, oh, that's like some fairy tale, or that's some like magic fool. Like, no, when you are on your path
Yeah.
and you are walking in your purpose and you are trusted, you will have the blueprint, you will have the guidance. And we all get it. We just can't see it.
And
We can't see
yeah,
it.
and you have, and I know that some people are going to listen to this and that's what they're going to think. And it's like, it's very clear that you're a very grounded person in reality, but
Absolutely.
you are co-creating with life, with your
Absolutely.
higher self, your higher being, and the energy that is. And it does require letting go
Mhm.
of, you know, what society tells you is normal, what you should do, how you should be. And that's what people are really
Absolutely.
afraid of, letting that go. And then when you do, this magical place opens up, that is
Mhm.
life and what life is meant to be. And like you said, it's not without struggles, it's not without obstacles, it's not without setbacks, but they become different because they become something that you realize is there to help you grow. Like, okay, this is another way for me to understand more about myself, and I'm going to
Absolutely.
accept it, work through it, and everything changes. And that's one of the things, this is why I love doing this broadcast. So it's just
Mhm.
like, for me, I went on my journey to learn to become vulnerable, to tell stories, and
Mhm.
to connect with people. And all of a sudden, you know, I started this broadcast to give the space for other people to do that, and for me to do that at a deeper level, but for the stories to be told. Like,
Oh,
yours is a
absolutely.
story that needs to be told, it needs to be heard.
Mhm.
And as if, when you're listening, go back and listen, let it resonate with you. Like, have the open mind to, you know, Tisha's story. Like, be
Mhm.
open-minded to it. And I might have to start opening up the show. Like, be open-minded
Be
to what
open
you will
minded.
hear through this story. And, you know, let it speak to you. Like, let it into your soul, into your spirit. And what does it have to tell you? So thank you for sharing your story and coming on. So
Thank you for having me.
before we start playing the first time lightning round, how can people get in touch with you and find your podcast?
So the best way on social media would be IG, because that's where I kind of hang out a lot. So that's at Mindset Slayer. And then my website is www.healaligneglow.com, and the glow is GLO.
Oh,
So
awesome. Yeah, I
you can
like
find my
that.
podcast from there.
I like the mindset slayer.
Yeah.
It is. It's you have to change your mindset. All right.
Absolutely.
So let's play the first time lightning round. So
Okay.
the way this works is I'm going to ask Tisha 10 different first time options, and it's similar to the app. If it's something she's done before, then she'll say up, but she would swipe up on the app. If it's something that she's never done, not interested, then it's left. And if something she's never done, would like to do, then it's right. Ready?
Buddy.
Okay, volunteer at a homeless shelter.
Um, right.
Right, we're adding it to the list. Travel to South America. So any country in South America.
No. Well, I'm looking at my paper because I wrote it down. The right. Right.
Right, okay. Ride in a trolley.
Oh, oh,
Done that before. Do you
yeah.
remember your first time in the trolley? Which
Oh
city?
gosh. Um, I want to say it was in Jersey. I think I was in Jersey visiting my on my dad's side. I want to
Yeah.
say that was my first, or maybe it was a second.
All right. Play field hockey.
Oh, I'm not right.
Right.
I need to
Use
get it together.
use affirmations.
Oh, up.
Uh, yeah. Request a song on the radio.
Oh, up.
Oh, what was the first song you requested?
Don't know.
Don't remember.
Don't
Yeah,
remember.
but you've done
But
that before.
I used to call in all the time. Me and my friends used to call in all the time and just request songs.
Oh,
So
awesome. That's something I've never done. Okay, use an electric drill.
no. Right.
No. Right.
No, no. Left. Never
Left.
done it. I'm not interested.
Not
I don't need to.
interested.
No.
All right. Go to a conference.
Oh, up.
Oh, remember your first
I do
conference?
remember the first one. Yes,
What was the
it
first
was.
one?
It was with Mary Kay.
Oh, okay.
So I was in Mary Kay.
Play Go Fish.
No, up.
Oh, figured you had
Yeah,
kids. Yes.
yeah.
It's a
Okay.
game you play as a kid. Okay, and this is from yesterday. I was talking with a friend of mine, and she ordered food, and she's like, so I was like, what did you order? She's like, I'm eating ox. And I'm like, I've never had ox. So eat ox or oxtail.
I love up. I love oxtails. That's actually my
Oh,
favorite. Oh my god! Now I'm gonna have to get it today, but it's so expensive here.
all right. Well,
So
I've never
expensive.
had it. So between you and her, clearly it's something that. What does it taste like? What is it like?
I could. I guess if I had to say something, maybe beef.
It's
Maybe
like
it tastes
beef.
like beef. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
it tastes like if you wanted to, it's its own taste and its own thing. But if I had to compare it to something, I would say beef.
Hmm.
Some type
All
of
right.
beef.
Well, I'm gonna have
Maybe go to
to.
a little Jamaican restaurant, Caribbean place, and tell them you want the oxtail and rice and beans.
All right. Check, check.
Yeah.
I will do that and have my first oxtail. And when she said that, I was like, what? Never had it. All right. So final question is, how have you been making the best of the current situation with the pandemic?
It's been very interesting.
Mm,
I don't even really know. Honestly, it's really is one of those things that is just day by day because you see so much and now that Arizona is a hot spot. It's been tough in the aspect of having to, of course the virus, is tough itself and people that have lost their life and been sick behind it. Then you get to the aspect of like the mask and stuff. It makes me sad when I go out in public and we have to wear a mask, not because like, oh my god, this is stupid. It's just the fact of like us as humans, like we desire connection, and to see so many people like afraid of each other and walking in the store and then they're like jumping and all that stuff, it just kind of that empathy and stuff just gets in. It's just like, wow, everybody is so fearful and so just scared of each other and to actually just like live. So that messes with me emotionally. And
mm,
so having to try to do like the balance of understanding that there's a virus that's out here and it's like, they're putting this out there saying this is for the safety of that. It's just it's been tough. It's been tough. So I don't know. I'm still struggling with a lot of it.
still working
But
through it.
yeah, I'm still working through because things have changed, which I do believe things needed to change. Absolutely systems and stuff need to come down in order to be rebuilt. And also it's a day by day thing for me. So
Right,
can't
yeah.
really
I mean,
100% answer
oh,
it.
and that's quite all right. I mean, and the best way to really get through anything is day by day. And some
Yeah,
things it's hour by hour, minute by minute. It's
yeah,
whatever in that moment you can do to get through it, and
yeah,
ultimately be in the moment and still try and find the opportunities that exist for growth and for understanding. And it's definitely a time where empathy and understanding are key in our society,
absolutely.
to open ourselves up to. It's not about us. It's not just about
Yeah,
you. It is about the people around you, the people that you don't know, the people in your community. And
absolutely.
we need to be taking care of each other. And that's, America used to be known for that. For,
I know.
you
I
know,
know.
and so, not too
Yeah.
sure, what all is going on, but we need to we all need to reflect and figure
Oh,
out, you know the best version of ourselves in this time is what's required. So
absolutely. I tell people all the time when the pandemic and stuff hit, I was like, oh, wow, this is such forceful energy. It was forcing all of us to look within, all of us to go within. And this is why a lot of people were having such a hard time because they were forced to look within and look at what's important to you right now and things in your life that's changed and just different aspects. So that was tough. So I had a lot of sessions. People that booked me because they was like, wait a minute, what is going on? And and so just people with just having like a hard time with the change and everything, because again, you have to you had to look within. You didn't have to, because you could do whatever you want, but because we have that free will, however, just certain things just drumming up with people, and just to see, for the people that I was just working with, of like how difficult things were. So just even just seeing that, and then seeing people just like in social media and stuff, you just see people are hurting and they don't know how to express it. They don't know how to express it, so they are expressing it in any way, possible. So it's been tough, and even on a personal standpoint, things that shifted and changed for me. Like, I was having my first spiritual retreat, something that I had, was supposed to be in May, and then that changed, and I'm like, okay, so what am I to learn from this? What's, what is it? So I wasn't like all mad because this thing, because of course you can push the date back, but I know that personally there was a time, there was for me to reflect even more too, to just go within, and a lot of different things to really understand myself more. And I've done a lot of reflecting in these couple of months, like a lot.
Yeah,
A lot of reflecting.
I I'm there with you. So, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone, it's ultimately it's a good place. It's absolutely a good
Yeah,
place to be. So find
absolutely.
the healthy ways to go deep into yourself, to work through it. Find the right voices to help you, to guide you and lead you to what you're going through, to people who create the spaces for you to express
Yeah,
yourself and share, seek those people out. And Tisha is one
absolutely.
of those person. So
Thank you.
again, well, thank you for sharing your story and spending some time with me this morning. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. This was fun. And I love what you're doing. And like you said, giving people like that space and that place to, because I always say it all the time, everybody wants to be heard. Even if they act like they don't, they do. Everybody wants to be heard, and to like share like those first time stories. That's just great, because there's going to be someone that's listening to someone's story and it's like, oh wow, so I'm not alone, like I've experienced that, or like, oh, that's what that is, or just opening people up. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.